We remember that day, like it happened yesterday. When the most of major news outlets began speaking of unidentified objects appearing in the solar system, we were filled with both joy and dread. Joy because we were not alone, and dread because we were not alone. I remember when, as a child, I looked up to the sky and for the first time feeling uncertainty, a creeping doubt that no reassuring words from my mother could dispel. For the first time, I felt like there was something deeper, more meaningful, awakening in me. And later, after those years, many of my peers admitted the same thing, but none of us really talked about it. It was a silent understanding that we were not alone, and suddenly, the earth felt so small. We remember when debates raged and social medias exploded in a whirlwind of emotions and novelty. When everyone wanted to share their opinion on what was going to happen. There was as many opinions as there were humans, and those most optimistic among us were rejoicing at the prospect of humans finding new friends. Those who were scared were in the minority. We had no reason to be concerned, to be afraid. For the first time in our existence, we learned to live peacefully. It took us more time than what I would have wanted, but we did learn in the end. Movements sprung up to welcome our new alien visitors. We were ready to welcome them with open arms. We had thought and concerned ourselves which songs to sing to them, which parts of our beloved culture to share with them. Everyone wanted to show the aliens something, in hope that each of us would find just the right alien who would magically find us as interesting as we found them. But we were wrong. It was heartbreaking that, for once, the terrified minority were right. Our broadcasts of ancient Greek philosophy were answered with orbital hellfire melting away the stones of Parthenon and the destruction of Plato's city. Our prideful bragging of preserving our ecosystem resulted in the pain and devastation, filling the lungs of our planet with endless ash. Our poems, the ones we cherish so deeply, of love and the yearnings of human heart were answered with the choir of screams, fire and suffering, with the echoes of drums of war choir. They took everything we held dear and made a target out of it. We watched as our great cities fell. What took us centuries to craft was leveled down in weeks. What took us millennia to write was not something the alien eyes wanted to see unless it was turned into ash and smoke, like our entire way of life. We held our arms open, welcoming, but now those arms were broken, scarred, and in some cases torn off. And the broken, scarred human arms did something that we often did in the past. For some of us, the greatest pain in this whole ordeal was not that we were fools and naive. Not that we died in droves because we believed in peace, but because we broke the oaths we made to our ancestors. With our bloody arms, we broke the treaties we signed in the hopes of our grandchildren having a better life than our grandfathers. The human arms, which once held a bouquet of flowers, now bleeding and scarred, took up a gun. It hurt. Not the pain they inflicted to us, but that we had to betray our own ideals that cost death of untold millions over our history. It hurt us that we were the gardeners of our beautiful world, forced to pick up a blade to defend our roses and lilies when we did not want to. The visitors might have burned our cities, and established their control over what was left of it, and those unable to escape. But there were those of us who retreated into the deserts and forests. They gave chase to us, into towns and villages, but we stood our ground, and burned it ourselves if we could not. The more books they burned, the more monuments they razed, the more we remembered and cherished them. The intruders could not explain it to their superiors. We died on the fields with pictures of our landmarks. We died in the cities, clutching the pages of our favourite books, underlining the words that touched our soul. They were shocked when our insurgency leaders studied the histories of our great generals. They were not aware that while we had Plato and Eiffel Tower, we also had Sun Tzu and Napoleon. That while our great cities were home of artists, it was also home of warriors and soldiers. But their biggest mistake was that in their attempt to uproot us from our planet, they did not know that all life fought just as hard as we did. They destroyed our communication networks, but we had pigeons who bravely flew from one outpost to another, even under gunfire, bringing critical information. They destroyed the factories and machinery we built, but we rode from the steppes on our horses like our ancestors, disrupting their supply networks and stealing vital technology. Our ancient canine companions, which hunted with us and gave us love, now fought with us, alerted us, tracked our enemies down for us. They burned our stores and fields, but our companions gave us milk and wool to keep us fed and warm. Our mother fought with her children. Our relationship was not always the greatest, but she fought with us, and how she did. The trees blessed us with cover, as we watched them from the darkness. The rain washed away our tracks as we fled to safety of our havens. The snow protected our men as they sniped at enemy leaders. We knew our mother and her wrath well. They did not. We knew how to fight with her blessing. They did not. From the dunes of Sahara, we emerged as the ghosts in the whirlwind of sand, wreaking havoc. When they fought back, we lured them to the cold embrace of Siberia, letting our mother give them her deadly kiss with frozen lips. When the lungs of our world, Amazonia, burned, we sailed down the river. We were the heartache in our mother's chest, the heartache that became revenge. We were in the trees, in the ground and in the jungles, on the mountains and in the deserts, in the seas. Our mother fought with us, washing the intruders with tsunamis, bringing the rage with her hurricanes and thunder. With endless cold of her merciless heart and burning heat of her hatred. We knew her wrath well, and that's how we timed our attacks. The intruders learned quickly. They could subdue us, one by one, when we're scared, disunited in the comfort of our own tribes. But when we fought as one, under the guidance of our Mother Earth, and not only humans, but all of her children together, from the smallest bacteria wreaking havoc among their ranks, to the elephants in the India campaign, charging at their machinery, we were unbeatable. When we took back the first of one of our greatest cities, we found out the truth. They broke our welcoming arms because they never knew what a friend's embrace was. They burned down Plato's city because they never had a philosopher of their own, or they simply forgot them. When we crawled among the ruins of our churches and temples, we fought because in our human hearts we held dear something that may or may not have existed. They had no such thing. When we fought through the ruins of burned libraries, we realized that our stories of heroism and sacrifice were hated because their stories were only of obedience and exploitation. When they melted the Statue of Liberty, we realized they had no such beautiful value. They would raise a statue too. When we hunted them down through the concert halls, they retreated as our troops sang the songs that our hearts wrote for our beloved. They had no beloved, waiting for them at home. When we retook our hospitals, we found them with supplies intact, because they did not have it in their hearts to care and nurture for their fellow beings. When we found some of them in the streets, forgotten by their own, protecting our heritage and art and waiting for our return, we stopped. When we found them discarded, reciting our poems, we listened. When the leader of the outcasts held out an old piece of paper from the ruins of UNHQ, which spoke of the sacred right of peace on this planet, we understood. We took our factories back. We began to learn. When we built our first ships, reverse engineering their secrets from our executioners, we began to think. Our leaders of insurgent cells came together, in the ruins of a grandiose building in what once was New York. The building once more housed leaders from all the Earth's continents, now more united than ever. The peace-loving peoples of Earth began healing their broken arms, but some lessons could not be forgotten. The arms healed, but became stronger than before. and now we stand vigilant on board our new armada. With one last glance behind our shoulders, as the bravest of our world steer our course to a world that knows no songs but the drums of war, no architecture but dark factories full of pain and suffering, which instead of toys and cars built only weapons of destruction. To a world where no word is written but the gospel of conquest. A world exploited, as their mother weeps as her wayward children exploit and torture her. We are the humans, the children of Mother Earth. Our cargo holds are full with weapons and artillery, but also building plans, our songs and art. Our armaments are fully loaded, ready, but we also bring medicine and books. We leave our mother behind with heavy hearts, but we will also care, nurture, and restore the mother of our executioners, like it was our own. We are the humans, and with our armada, we bring humanity. An insert from the memoirs of Robert Vendici, Grand Admiral of the 1st Human Expeditionary Armada, stationed on board UNS Statue of Liberty. An insurgency leader, a poet, a farmer, a father of two, a human.